There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still, steady hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day in the rising sun across the rivers and the hills, the light that shines on each of us just as we are.
For this hour we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world. Come, let us worship together. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Schenectady, and thank you to the Reverend Gretchen Haley who wrote those gathering words.
I'm the Reverend Lynn Gardner. She, her, or they, them are pronouns that work when referring to me. And along with Reverend Wendy Bartel, please use Wendy rather than they, he, or she, as pronouns don't really fit for Wendy. We get to serve as co-ministers of this congregation. Wherever you are on your journey of finding truth and meaning, whether you have arrived joyous or with a heavy heart, we are grateful that you have chosen to be here this morning.
And now let us settle more fully in our seats and prepare ourselves for worship, to lift up that which is of worth. At the beginning of many of our meetings and our worship services, we kindle a chalice. And the flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, and symbols can have lots of different meanings. This morning, let's say that the flaming chalice, here instead of in the center but by the pulpit, is a light of inspiration held in a cup of beloved community. And this morning we've invited Andrew Rayovan to kindle our chalice as I read words from Reverend Lynn Gardner. Just as a flame needs a spark to ignite, and bread needs leavening to rise, so too do we need one another to become a community. Let us add to our time of worship a large scoop of compassion. Pour in a cup of gratitude, and stir in handfuls of wonder. Let us dare to bring open hearts to this time we share, whether our hearts are worried, or aching, or joyful, that together we may be nourished by love.
Let us take a little time to sit together in some quiet, inviting our bodies to be more still if they are feeling wiggly, inviting our shoulders to be a little bit lower if they have crept up around our ears. Softening our jaw, softening your gaze, or letting your eyes gently close. You might place your feet on or towards the floor if they don't quite reach. As we heard in our story, there are many ways to make bread. And there are also many ways to understand prayer and to pray. So I invite you to find a position that feels most comfortable for your body right now. Maybe resting your hands in your lap or holding hands with someone in your family if they also want to hold hands. And if the idea of prayer really doesn't fit for you, I invite you to join me in a time of awareness. Aware of our breath as it gently moves in and out of our bodies. Aware of others, those nearby, those far away. Aware of our own beating hearts. Aware of those we love who may not be with us right now. Aware of those we miss. Aware of those who we might find difficult, those with whom we disagree. Aware of those who are struggling, and maybe this includes ourselves. Those who are lonely, afraid, those who are hungry, ill, or injured. And aware of our feelings in this moment, whatever they may be. And in that awareness, we pray. Spirit of life and love, may our hearts be open, open to those who are suffering and to those who are celebrating. May we choose kindness and generosity, source of hope and compassion. May we be abundant in sharing our gratitude, telling everyone we can that we are grateful for them, for who they are, for things they do, knowing that gratitude is not a limited resource, that we can just keep on sharing it. Great mystery, may we be curious rather than fearful, dazzled by the beauty in our differences, and humbled by all that connects us. And let us rest in some quiet for a few moments for our own internal prayers or meditations. And the piano will invite us to continue on with the service, joined by the choir this morning, breathing in peace and breathing out love. Let us rest together in this quiet.
Thanksgiving, celebrated later this week, sometimes known in some circles as Thanksgrieving or Thanks-taking, is another complicated holiday. As we gather this morning in the area where the Kanien'kehá:ka, the people of the Flint, also known as the Mohawk of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, settled and also migrated through, we acknowledge the impacts of colonization and the legacies of white Christian nationalism that we are seeing play out at the highest levels of our fracturing government. It's all related. We also acknowledge the tradition of sharing the words that come before all else, also known as the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address. which gives thanks to the people, to the earth mother, the water, the fish, different groups of plants and herbs, and so on and so on, offering more and more gratitude. The deep spiritual practice of articulating our interdependence with all living beings. And while it is important to not appropriate the cultures and practices of others, how might we honor it when we gather this week? Whether you gather here at UUSS, a Friendsgiving celebration, a family gathering, an extended multi-generational reunion, a work meal, a food distribution center, or a gathering of just one, as you choose. How might we give thanks for all of life, for those gathered, for the blessings of whatever food may be present? How might we remember those who have sacrificed so that we ourselves might be so blessed? How might we honor our ancestors and our descendants? How might we share the blessings that we have with those who may be needing some more assistance this season? The practice of gratitude and the practice of interdependence are often woven well together. And today, as we sing of family and community and friendship and for the vision that's our prayer, we will lean into those practices a little bit and hope that you will expand them into meaningful moments of connection and thanksgiving, no matter what kind of bread you have or do not have at your various tables, however crowded or simple the gathering may be. And now we invite those who brought bread to share to come forward with their delicious breads of many kinds. We know there are a few of you will be staying in your seats. We'll mention you later. We put out an open call for bakers and bread lovers, and not everybody wants to talk. That's okay. We are so grateful for the folks who responded and who have brought breads of many varieties to be shared today. They're beginning to gather. Come on over. With big thanks to Tom Comprin and Stephanie Maslanka and Swanee and Carolyn and all other people who were back there helping cut the bread so that it can be shared a bit later in the service. Today's communion is one that welcomes all to the table. You don't need to be any different. You don't need to be any better than you are. You don't need to believe a particular thing or not believe a particular thing right now to take part in the ritual that will come later. This is a communion, a community of gathering of all of us. We'll begin by hearing a bit about the bakers and the bread that they brought to share.
My name is Stephanie Maslanka. I am a trustee at large on our UUSS Board of Trustees. I am grateful for this bread. I helped my mom bake this bread for over 50 years, Easters, Thanksgiving, and Christmases, and the memories it brings back of mom's hands, possibly the softest, strongest hands I've ever felt.
Good morning. I'm Sylvie Breiber, and I started coming to UUSS in junior high school. I actually watched this church being built. I've sung solo in the choir for many years and was chair of the Performing Arts Committee and the Religious Services Committee and assisted in many fundraisers with my husband, Bob Breiber, who was president and who I met here in 1980 on his 50th birthday. A famous restaurant in our Capital Region history was the Cranberry Bog on Wolf Road in Colony. This cranberry bread was their signature delight. I am grateful that I can still make this bread and share it at one of my very favorite services.
We are Jeff and Carolyn Lundy. We made a sourdough bread from a recipe I pulled off the internet many years ago. The current sourdough starter was activated at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Carolyn serves on the Finance Advisory Committee and the 125th Celebration Team. I'm part of the worship team and choir, and together we are coffee coordinators.
I'm Nancy Peterson. My main connection with this congregation has been through my work in Green Sanctuary, although I've been involved in many other things as well. The bread I have is not a long-standing tradition with my family, although they love the cornbread that I make. Kind of sunny cornbread. It's got sunflower seeds in it. And I don't know where I first got the recipe. I love playing with my food, and so it has gone through many transitions during its long term with me, and that barely resembles anything I may have started out with. One thing I like about it is it also makes wonderful pancakes or waffles, which my family enjoy when I serve those for breakfast, and also lends itself to being turned into stuffing. So it's a multi-purpose bread.
We are Susan and Alice Say Moore. I'm a new member as of last week, and my daughter. I was hoping you were going to be a rowdy congregation. Yes. My daughter and I are both so happy to be here. We're of Northern Italian descent, and I've been making different forms of focaccia for quite a while. This recipe is one I found recently that is really great. No kneading, because you can't. It's too soft and sticky. The secret is the pan with high sides to allow for the bread to rise up thick and airy. I usually make it plain, but this one is dressed up for the holiday.
Hello, my name is Megan McLaren. I am an active and passionate OWL facilitator at UUSS. I made sourdough bread. I had gotten the recipe from the Giroudi family recipe subscription a few years ago, and I've been making the bread ever since. I am usually gluten-free, as regular gluten aggravates my autoimmune disorder and other symptoms. And this wheat I happen to tolerate it actually. This wheat is minimally processed, it's native, and the bread, of course, is fermented. So I'm happy to share this with all of you.
Hi, I'm Mimi Katz. I help take care of some of the grounds here at UUSS, and I also serve on several teams, including the membership team. I baked a butterkin squash sweet potato bread using a New York Times recipe that I adapted to use the produce that was accumulating in my kitchen. I am grateful to my neighbors who have a Roxbury Farm CSA, and whenever they travel, they have me pick up their share to enjoy. And as a result of their traveling a lot this year, I have an overabundance of winter squash, sweet potatoes, and cabbage, a whole lot of cabbage. I think some of you who've used Roxbury also know. And unfortunately, I couldn't find a recipe for cabbage bread, so we have this one instead, and I like that it connects me to a wider community, so to local farmers, to my neighbors, and then today also with this congregation. And I also like that it helps to remind me that there are many very easy ways that I can help to contribute here, and that strengthens my connection to this congregation.
Hello, my name is Kyle Ann Colangelo. I've been attending UUSS since early September. I was introduced to the congregation through our musical director, Maria Elmer, who has been a longtime client of mine. And when I decided I wanted to return to singing in a choir, Maria was the first person I thought of. So I'm deeply grateful to her for leading me and helping me to become part of this community. It's been really awesome. So 3 years ago, like a lot of people, I created my first sourdough starter. After 7 days of tending to it, I successfully baked my first loaf. And I haven't purchased breadcrumbs, croutons, bagels, English muffins since. I threw that in. Sorry. Also, I want to acknowledge her name is Jill from Whispering Willow Farms. I found her YouTube channel and then her Instagram, whose videos and sourdough basic recipe and starter recipe guided me at the beginning. Although I've never met her, I'm very grateful for her, and I'm very grateful that I know how to make bread now. So I have a plain loaf and also my own recipe, which is pumpkin sourdough. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rosalind Dahl. I'm a member of the membership and Rainbow Connection teams. I made rosemary focaccia. Focaccia is a family favorite that makes me grateful for the many meals and good times that we've shared together.
In addition to these lovely and generously offered breads, there are also gluten-full and gluten-free garlic knots from Allison and Miranda Dubray, sourdough bread from Lee Augustine, and a sesame seed bread baked by Sarah Fenimore. Thank you to all the bakers. The ritual of breaking bread together is one that has been shared by the human family in various forms for millennia. Giving thanks for the harvest, a prayer that the earth will sustain life once again. In the stories of Jesus's life, the disciples, those who followed and studied with him, broke bread together during a Passover meal. The Passover meal commemorates the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. In both the Exodus story and the story of the Last Supper with Jesus and his disciples, there is the presence of an imposing ruling power asserting its dominance over the people through violence. The disciples broke bread together, even in the depth of their fear, asserting that the forces of empire, violence, and evil would not extinguish the forces of life and love. Our partner congregation in Marsh-Wasserhey, Transylvania, shares communion several times a year, including at their Thanksgiving holiday celebrated in September. And while Unitarian Universalism and communion both have roots in Christianity, this faith values pluralism and is inclusive of people with a wide range of theologies that all have love at the center. Our congregation practices a free and open communion. Everyone is welcome to participate without reservation, without theological limit.
This ritual connects us in ways that we can only begin to know through time and space, to our history, to the earth, and the cycle of life. This morning, we are going to do bread communion a little bit differently, inspired by a practice created by Reverend Sherry Prudhomme, who is currently serving, living in, etc., in the Oakland, California area. Because the times that we are living in call for different ways to lean into the depths of ancient ritual. In a moment, or several, you'll be invited to choose a piece or two of bread that was made with care, and that secret ingredient known as love. Folks online, you are invited to go find some bread if you don't already have it with you. Find some bread, find a piece of bread near you, go get it and come back, etc. Bring it back to your seats. So you'll choose a piece or two. There's quite an abundance of bread, but don't eat it yet. Okay? That's maybe the hardest part of this. Please don't eat it yet. And if you're a person who needs to have bread brought to you, wave at us or wave to an usher, and a basket can be brought to you as the line starts to taper down. That's a lot of logistics, I know. In part because it's important that we communicate clearly with each other, yes? We can't assume that everyone in the room actually knows how things work or what is expected, and so we share those words calmly and clearly and directly. May other tables and places that we visit this holiday be so clear. May we all be so honest about our needs and the requests that we make and the expectations we have for these days. And let us begin, and we will be accompanied on our journey, on our dance for bread by Maria. Thank you so much. That piece is called Bread and Roses, not to be confused with the folk song Bread and Roses, but a beautiful tribute song by Craig Urquhart.
Now we invite you to notice, to sense all of those who are gathered here this morning. Those online, some across thousands of miles, and those here in this room. Let us know ourselves as one body, a body complicated sometimes by our own fragility, our own tenderness, by broken hearts or broken relationships. In other words, by our humanness. We gather in this complex reality knowing that we are partially complicit in and most certainly impacted by systems of oppression that were established long before any of us were born and against which many of us have struggled. It's important to give ourselves permission to feel our suffering and sadness and offer compassion to the suffering of others. In a moment, we'll invite a bell. And at that time, we invite you to gently break your bread into two pieces. Break the bread and allow your heart to open as well. Break the bread when the bell rings, but don't eat it just yet. We know that waiting can be hard. This too is part of the ritual, noticing our anticipation or our impatience. And after that first bell, we'll just hold our broken bread and notice what arises in our hearts in this moment. Might there be grief? You can notice if a word or phrase comes to you that gives voice to some of the sadness, fear, pain, or suffering that might be in your heart today. We'll let the words be present inside us and allow there to be some shared quiet for others. And when the bell rings a second time, you're invited to put those words in the chat if you're on Zoom, or to speak the words or phrase aloud into our shared space, allowing words to tumble over other words, trusting that that which is larger than any one of us can hold it all. And if you're not experiencing any grief, then you get to help hold the space for everyone else, which is part of what we do in community. So we'll have a bell for breaking the bread and allowing our feelings and words to arise. And then a second bell will invite us to share the words. I sing the little dog. Great sadness over transphobia. Worry for immigrants, those perceived to be immigrants. Worry for our democracy.
sadness over all that will not be forgiven. Change. In this space of our community, gathered in a circle, having given voice to our grief and pain, let us also now turn our attention to gratitude for the larger life that holds us. The earth, its large body which holds us and sustains us and gives us life. The floor, walls, and roof of the buildings that we are in. The mystery, the source and sustenance of all creation that some call God. The abiding presence of love that holds us and will never let us go. There is so much to be grateful for. So much love and care, passion and dedication present right here in this circle. Our life together as a community is a blessing, and each of us matters. Would you now hold your pieces of bread and look at them closely if sight is available to you, and see the miracle of it, made from earth and water, warmed by fire, or perhaps noticing the texture, the smell. See if it has a sound. Letting gratitude rise within you for this bread and for all that gives us life, all that sustains us, the things we know about, the things we don't know about, the large and small ways we care for one another. For we are not our own. Earth forms us, and we are grateful. What do you have to be grateful for in this moment? Allow words and phrases to form within you. And in a moment, I'll invite the bell, and you'll be invited to speak or write in the chat all that which you are grateful for, that which you have thankfulness for, allowing the words to tumble over other words, trusting that they will be held in this great web of all existence in and beyond this circle. But first, let us be quiet and let all the good gratitude bubble up in us. Fresh food. Very cute children.
Having honored both our grief and our gratitude, let us eat and be glad in it.
Cheers.
Mhm.
Mm.
May all be nourished.
May all be fed.
May our hearts be held in love. May our lives be held in love. May our bodies be held with love.
Amen.
And blessed be.